Hey guys, what's up? It's iFlynn here, and today I'm starting a brand new series called How to Fix Warframe, or just how to make it a better game. Not too sold on the title just yet, but basically in this series I'm going to be recommending changes which the developers could potentially take on board and add into Warframe to make it a better game, and you guys can agree or disagree down in the comment section below as to what you think about the changes that I'm recommending within Warframe. It can even be like a whole new system implementation that, the developers could look into and maybe put into the game to just sort of improve it, to make it better for everyone and all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So I am, along with a lot of other people, a firm believer that the only thing holding Warframe back is the player base and their understanding of the game. Like, not every single player or the majority of players are stuck at the beginning of Warframe kind of just farming everything up. Getting to that end game point proves as a struggle to most players for whatever reason. Not everyone is like you and me. You have to understand that the people who are watching this video, you and me, we are a very small percentage of people who are actually playing the game to its fullest extent because we understand it. We're able to go find outside resources and apply that into our gaming experience, right? We're able to look at a build on YouTube and make that build. Some people just don't want to be bothered. They don't want to do that. They want the game to tell them all the information that they need to know so they can enjoy the game, right? Warframe struggles with this because of its beginning, because of the prologue. Nothing's explained. I played through this game about 6 or 7 times now, getting every single account up to the point where I could go into an endgame mission such as a sortie, So I have a very good sort of grip on, what is in the beginning of the game, what isn't in the beginning, what needs to be there to sort of grasp a new player and explain the game. And that's why my beginner guide was so successful, because the game doesn't explain itself. So I'm basically taking a hit by suggesting this to the developers to make a more in-depth tutorial, but this is where I think the tutorial should be within the game. So you guys know in the opening scene, whenever your Warframe is just about to fall out of the cryopod, your Warframe is kind of still in that cryostasis, right? So the Lotus can still talk to you in that cryostasis. So, the developers could just be all like, hey, let's put the player in the simulacrum where the Lotus can talk to them and explain some of the basic combat mechanics of Warframe to them, like the different damage types, how to swap to your melee weapon, shooting the enemy, headshots, stealth multipliers, things like that there. That should all be explained in detail in that little area right there, which they could basically make, just put into the game. I know they try to do that in the prologue by saying, okay, well, you can do a stealth attack, but they don't explain it too much. What I'm recommending here is basically a environment which the player and the Lotus can interact with one another, and requirements have to be met to basically get out of that environment and continue on with the Warframe experience or playing the game. So let's say these basically requirements could be killing an enemy, shooting an enemy in the head, learning about stealth multipliers like performing a stealth kill, different things like that there, taking advantage of the movement system, how you can jump really far up in the air, basically speed up your gameplay by combining your movement together and finishing an obstacle course within a given time limit. Things like that there could be implemented into this little section that, we're talking about. Same with whenever we get back into the ship. Nothing is explained, so modding isn't explained. You could go back into that area, and then you could force the player to equip mods. You could force the player to rank up a mod, things like that there in the simulacrum. It should be an environment where the Lotus interacts with the player and tells them, how to mod their weapons or explain the damage types. Why is there puncture, why is there impact, why is there slash? Let the player pick up different damage type weapons. So let's say, for example, you give them the Paris, make them shoot a Grenier, it one-shots a Grenier. Make them pick up an impact weapon, make them shoot a Corpus, one-shots a Corpus. Make them bring up a slash weapon, let them shoot the infested, it'll kill the infested, and then make them do it vice versa. So use that Paris to shoot the Corpus, and they'll see that it doesn't one-shot. That explains damage to them. It shows them that, okay, some damage types are better than others within the game, and it's up to you to figure out which is good versus which faction and which enemies. Just communicating that to the player goes a very long way, because not every single player that jumps into Warframe knows about that. They'll just say, okay, I need a gun that does a lot of damage. They'll obviously add up maybe those free stats, so the impact, punch, and slash, and then that'll give them their damage. However, not every single player, like I said, understands how that actually affects their damage, having those different damage types on. So making them go through that process communicates, okay, Some weapons are better than others at specific things. Then you get into the elements. Show them how to make an elemental combo. And this is another change that I'm also going to get into. You know, explain modding more in depth and make it easier for a player to come in and understand modding. I mean, you can do this in a multitude of different ways. For example, if you guys don't already know, the modding system for your weapons actually has no order to it. So in the top left-hand corner, that's actually your first slot. Right beside that to the right, you know, that's your second slot. Right again is your third, right again is your fourth, and then the bottom left is your fifth. To the right, 6th, 7th, and 8th, so on and so forth. If DE put like a very faint number behind those that showed this is slot 1, this is slot 2, this is slot 3, this is slot 4, it shows the player, okay, modding is more advanced than it seems, and it's up to you to place mods on accordingly and put them in the correct order. That way, you can make different elemental combos and actually make the player make an elemental combo in this tutorial process. You know, make them make corrosive, tell them to shoot a heavy gunner or something, which is a stronger enemy, you know. Say to the player, okay, this is a stronger enemy, you need to make an elemental combo to take him down because your normal physical damage types on normal elements won't work against him. Use a corrosive weapon to take him down. It shows the player how to make a corrosive elemental combo to kill that enemy, that stronger enemy, you know? And on top of that, actually put on the mod cards what they are good against. So let's say, for example, you have Hellfire, right? You put in below Hellfire in little small text, good against infested enemies, you know? That goes a very long way, and it says, okay, well, that player might be struggling with infested. They'll look through their modding cards, they'll say, okay, you know, if I put this mod on, I'll do more damage versus infested. That's awesome, that's great, that's exactly what I need for this part of the game. However, in saying all of this, I can 100% understand why Digital Extremes may not want to take the jump and just throw tutorials into their already existing prologue, right? So you have to look at it from a developer standpoint, like saying, you know, this is their way of introducing the player to the Warframe universe, showing them the Lotus, showing them Ordis, showing them Darvo, and creating their characters in the player's ship, which the player really has to grow like some sort of an attachment to, because Ordis kind of is their ship's cephalon, you know? So they try to emphasize that there in the tutorial. However, in my opinion, and this is coming from me, I don't really see that as a valuable thing, like, to me. Like, that relationship between me, my ship, and Ordis, that's not something that I value within Warframe. I've been playing the game for about 3.5 years now, so it's not something that I would necessarily care about coming into the game, because whenever I come into Warframe, I think multiplayer game, co-op game, I can play this with my friends, I want to get on my feet, I want to be stronger than them. So, you know, give the player the choice to play a tutorial or skip a tutorial. That's awesome. That's completely fine, and it will allow players who are new to the game, who don't understand it, who might be going into it for the first time, none of their friends have played it, so they learn the tutorial, and then they, you know, they know everything that they need to know, and they can explain that to their friends, and then the game grows on all those players from that point onwards. It's pretty awesome. You know, giving the player the choice is amazing, you know, because there's just no reason not to, and they've demonstrated that they can do that whenever they first remade the prologue. My problem with Digital Extremes right now is they keep on going back into the prologue, taking looks at it, because they know that's where the majority of their player base is, but they're not doing the right things to progress the entirety of that player base forward to the endgame point, or what we call endgame at the minute, where there's a lack of content. If we can shift every single player from that starting point, or at least a large majority from that starting point to the endgame point where we currently are now, they will have more time to develop that endgame content that we're all looking for. That's why I'm suggesting these changes to explain the game more properly to the newer players, you know, giving them the choice to play tutorials and all that good stuff. And the problem that I was just after talking about with the character development or the game's environment or universe being introduced to the player, that can all be implemented into the tutorials as well, just like they try to right now, you know? They do it, but they don't do it in a good way. They don't teach the player valuable information, so that experience of the prologue basically just feeds away in the back of the player's mind because they didn't learn anything valuable. If you were to make it so that the characters of the game, such as, you know, Darvo or the Ordis or the Lotus, teaches you something valuable, you remember that because that's something that stands out, that's something that you need, knowledge that you hold on to make yourself progress through the game. And, you know, you always remember that, okay, this character taught me how to do this here, and then they developed their character within that sort of teaching process, you know? They showed me how to do it, and they, you know, they used maybe a funny witticism or a serious tone or whatever to do so, and that developed their character and introduced me more to the universe of Warframe. So that, in my opinion, would solve the problem of Warframe not developing its universe at the start and not teaching the player anything at the start. Because if you go through it and you just want to get to the point where you want to play with your friends, or you can play with your friends, you're just going to forget the prologue completely, you know, because it's kind of crap right now. Obviously, it doesn't teach you anything, no character development or anything like that there. Like, I would be surprised if anyone in the comment section said, "Hey, Flynn, I fucking love the prologue. Fuck you, you're an asshole." You know, I get comments like that sometimes. It's kind of crazy. But, you know, things like that there would enhance the experience, make it a lot better, and all that good stuff. As well as providing the player with the resources to actually like follow out or follow through with all these tutorials. I think that would be good, because Warframe as it is, it's really grindy, even without having to get all your mods at the start. So giving the player basic mods like flow, streamline, all the elemental mods for just the rifle, let's say, you know, a non-broken Surrection, non-broken versions, because broken mods are just trash. There's no reason for them to be there. They just kind of tease the player, aggravate them. You know, say, okay, well, there's a better mod of this, don't bother upgrading this. If you upgraded this, you're an idiot, you know, that type of thing. So give the player the actual mods like continuity, streamline, basic elemental, rifle mods, that good stuff, because that enhances the player's experience as well, at least in my opinion, because it gives them the tools necessary to progress through the game. There's still plenty of stuff for the player to grind in Warframe. The relics, you know, the actual prime parts themselves, the arcanes, things like that there. If you just allow the player to get to that endgame point, you can begin to develop for that endgame point and basically enhance the experience a lot more for everyone in Warframe, instead of just the newer players who are coming in. Also, make your Warframe quests later on down the line, like the new Priest Frame who's coming out in the future, you can make that quest 10 times better if you can make it more challenging, because every single player will be more geared up than the average Warframe player today. That's just my opinion. Leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What will you do to fix the beginning prologue of Warframe? Tell me, and I'll talk to you down in the comment section below if you have a good idea, or even a bad idea, and we can expand upon it and make it a lot better. So yeah, disagree or agree, tell me. And like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you dislike it, subscribe for more Warframe content, or check out my live stream on Monday and Wednesdays. We're going to be streaming from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. GMT, and every other day it's going to be 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. GMT, of course. So yeah, thanks for watching this video, guys. Love you all, and I'll see you guys in the next one.